This build is actually going to start with a stock CB100 frame, and after taking some careful measurements to see how everything was going to fit inside the MD500E fuselage, I built a structure on the bottom with some styrene square tubes, square stock, a couple of different sizes, and built basically supports for the landing gear and a couple of cages where I can put some Velcro for the battery support, and that's kind of where it starts. And I went ahead and put some C10 fiberglass reinforcing where the landing gear will screw in, and that's where we begin. The landing gear I'm using is a set of tough struts and skids from MIA, and actually it's a set that I had left over from a UPS frame kit. The landing gear itself was quite a bit wider than I needed to have for this project. So what I did is determined the space I needed here and cut them right down the middle, and used a piece of 2mm carbon fiber rod and then slipped them back together, got the proper dimensions, CA glued them, and went ahead and drilled holes for the screws. The 4 screws are going to attach the LG to the modified airframe. I also drilled holes at this point so I can feed the wires through for the position lights down here on the skids, and that can only be done when I pull everything apart. So the second step in the procedure. Okay, I've installed the modified landing gear onto the modified airframe, and using 4 screws, as I discussed when looking at the landing gear, and the servos, and so everything's basically ready to rock and roll and see how it fits in the fuselage. Okay, this is the MIA MD500E fuselage I'm using for this project. I've modified the fuselage in a couple of areas. Down where the landing gear are going to go, and the main rotor head area, servo links. I also am using one of Jason's inline tailcase fin combinations from Microheli Concepts, and the way I did that was I cut a piece of stainless steel tubing, probably 3/4 of an inch long, and at that point I used some heat shrink tubing to a number of layers of heat shrink tubing to build it up to the just a perfect fit inside the fuselage, and a real nice snug fit. And then I went ahead, once it fit properly, I went ahead and used CA glue and glued it in place, and installed the fin, and makes for a nice solid straight fuselage. So I think it's going to be a real nice combo. Should work out really well. The next step is we're going to go ahead and see how the modified modified frame fits inside this guy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and fit the airframe inside the fuselage now. Get it over the anti-rotation bracket here carefully, and we just carefully Snap over that side. Oops. Snap that over. Come on, anti-rotation bracket. Cool. Alright. So we're all set. So from here, actually it's it's a real tight fit. I mean, the servos just fit in there. Everything is actually it came out very nice. I'm really happy with it. So now what we have to do is go ahead and finish the mock-up, which will be go ahead and just fit the tail motor in with the wires in place, just not soldered or anything, just stick them through there. Go ahead and put the main motor in, main gear, main rotor assembly, and basically the electronics. Go ahead and put the Velcro on here until I can stick a battery on here and test the center of gravity, which is probably the most important part, other than having everything fit. And if the COG isn't spot on, it may fly, but it won't fly very well. So that's where we're going with this, and it's looking pretty good. So it was a tight fit. Measurements are really important. Okay, now I'll just see if I can pop this rotor head in carefully and not block your view, but you get the basic idea how this works. Get the anti-rotation bracket and swatch plate lined up, going straight down. Drop that servo link through the hole. Come on, baby. There we go. Basically all there is to it. Now all I have to do is hook up the servo links, and that's about it. Okay, got the servo links hooked up. Pretty straightforward. Got plenty of room for everything to work properly, and now we're ready to rock and roll. Looks pretty good. Need to see how the basic electronics are going to fit, and I know the motor is going to fit. That's not going to be a problem. Canopy basically goes on in like that. It's going to be a pretty nice look. Got it modified for the servo links. So anyway, got a good start on it. Get the electronics mocked up, make sure everything's going to fit in there. Then going to need to do another mock-up for center of gravity, and just make sure we're in the ballpark with everything before we pull it all apart and start the final building process.